guys, my name is Carla and welcome to my plant channel Chlorophyll is the New Black. And as well, welcome to my Lazy Sunday. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about pothos in particular, because I think that pothos is such an easy plant to have and it's just very rewarding. I will show you all the pothos that I have around my house. I will talk a little bit of care, propagation, fertilizing and watering. And if you're a beginner, I would definitely recommend to start with one plant like this. Now here we're standing next to where everything began. So this plant is the one that I have taken all the cuttings of the golden pothos that you will see around my house. I initially had it as a relatively small plant. It came in this small bowl. It was just like this bit of big. And what I did is like I just let it grow and grow and grow, and at some point it was just trailing on the ground, and then I decided, okay, what should I do with it? And then I started cutting it and propagating it, and then I started to put it around my house, and it just gives it quite a jungly and nice look around. I want to show you the different varieties that I have and how I have them distributed first, and I will also show you some that are not specifically pothos, so they are not specifically Epiprenum aureum. They are called Satin pothos. These are actually called Scindapsus pictus. And I also have some of them, and the care is just very similar. So that's why I'm also including them in this video. So starting by the mother plant, here you can see that there is where the initial plant actually ended. So all of these type of vines that you see here are actually belonging from the initial plant that I got. Then later on, I actually decided to make it trail like this, but this was pretty much afterwards. I did quite a few cuttings that I will show you in a minute. You can also see that this one that is trailing from the ceiling is as well a golden pothos. This started as a 3 cuttings, really, like they were 3 leaves with just dormant nodes that I put in water propagate, and now you can see that it trails all the way down towards the sofa. And sometimes it's even annoying for the visitors because then they have all the plants on their faces. But it gives it quite a nice jungly look to the house. And here as well I have another one that again comes from a few cuttings from the mother plant, and then you see that it's also trailing down quite beautifully. So as mentioned before, you can make it go up on a pole, you can also make them trail, but what I decided to do a little bit more than a year ago was to plant it in this just plastic container without holes. So I'm trying to be extra careful with the watering. And what I did myself is that I just bought a net and a support like this, and then I just kind of fuse it with some wires that I found. And the result of it is actually quite nice, because I don't know if you know, but pothos, they can trail, but when they climb, the leaves actually become bigger and bigger and bigger. So I will show you a picture of one that I found in Mexico that is just huge. But I try to replicate that effect. So I just use a wire to put the stems, as you can see, like tied to this net. And the effect of this is you see the leaf, and then you see the size of my hand, of course. And as soon as you go up, you see that actually the trailing is having an effect on the plant. And this is that the leaves are becoming bigger and bigger. And you can finally see that in here. Look at this. My hand is covered completely by the leaf. It's just growing these bigger leaves, beautiful ones. And compare again to the initial leaves of the plant, they are very small. These again were cuttings of the plant that I showed you at the beginning that is climbing a pole. And yeah, that's something else that you can do with your pothos, and I think it just looks super nice. Here that I also have these Marble Queen pothos, and the difference between this and the golden pothos is that the variegation is a little bit more white. So you see in every leaf, you see like this marbling really of this more whitish variegation compared to the golden pothos that the variegation is mostly yellowish. I have also this one trailing here. It has grown okay, but it has suffered a bit. I had trips in this room. Well, I still have them, and it has just been a pain. So my leaves are a little bit affected, but I'll deal with that and get rid of them definitely at some point. Yes. Other variety that is actually not an Epiprenum is the Scindapsus pictus. And there are also different names of it. So this one I think that is the Marianne. And you see I also have it here and I have it trailing all the way down. All the way to the floor. And this variety has rather smaller leaves as you can see. And funny is that at some point I decided to cut it. Oh yeah, here. So funny thing is I cut it there. As you can see there's like this cut bit. And the next leaves, instead of going like so small, became way bigger. Now they look a little bit folded inwards because I need to water them. They are like in humidity now, but you can see that by cutting them I actually promote that the leaves became a little bit bigger. Finally, I want to show you this other one. This variety has bigger leaves. The name I think is Scindapsus pictus treble or something like that. But in this case I decided to put it in this kind of yeah, light container. I don't know what is the name. The idea is to take this one and make it like hang it somewhere so that it can look showy and beautiful and trail. Now let's start with talking about soil. Soil, I think it doesn't matter much what type of soil you use. So you want like just a mix of soil that can have good drainage, that doesn't compact that much, and basically your plant will be good. They are not very finicky, they are not drama queens at all. So yeah, you can use almost every mix. You can use just normal soil mix it with perlite even if you want, but it's not really necessary. They will do fine. Second one I would say is fertilizing. I mean, as any plant they need fertilize. I would fertilize mostly in the growing season, that is, as most of the plants in well, when it is warm in your region. So they grow in these humid, warm environments. That's where they develop the best. So they will start actively growing, especially at that point. That doesn't mean that they won't grow in winter if you have like a really drop in temperatures and so on. They have grown for me here, that I have temperatures inside of my house maybe drops towards maybe drops all the way till 14 degrees or something like that, and my pothos has still grown at those temperatures. It will just grow slower, therefore they need less fertilizer at that time. So what I would do is I would fertilize every 2 weeks when it's the growing season, when it's warm, and fertilize maybe once a month when it's getting cold. Something important is the watering. What I would do is water thoroughly my pothos, but I won't let it sit in water, which means if you have a pot that has drainage holes, that is the best, I would say, in any case. You will flush water until it drains, and then you don't let the water accumulate. You just toss the water away and let it dry. If it takes 1 week, if it takes 2 weeks, then doesn't matter. Just let dry the soil before you water it again. What if you have a pot that doesn't have drainage holes? Well, in that case, then don't water so thoroughly. I would say like just make the soil wet, and again just wait until your soil becomes dry. And that means not just from the top, but also like if you put your finger inside of the pot for maybe 4 or 5 centimeters and it's dry, then I would water again, otherwise I wouldn't water. Overwatering is also easy to see in these plants. because when you start to water a lot, the leaves will become very yellow, especially the ones that are close to the roots. They will just become yellow and fall, and you will start to get a plant with just bare stems, and that doesn't look that nice, that doesn't look that beautiful. So I would recommend you to not overwater your plant and just take an eye on it. Humidity doesn't really matter, but if you're not watering enough and it's very dry, then the plant will be affected. You will see that the plant starts to have some dry edges, brown edges, and that's just what happens. Talking about lighting, so these plants normally grow in the understory of trees, so they actually like bright light. That's where they grow and develop the best, but normally not direct hard sun. If you have them in a window here in the north hemisphere, let's say southwest facing window, that is where you would have a cactus, because then you have like the strongest sun through the afternoon, evening, that may affect the leaves of your pothos, and you will start to see that they become very yellow, and that is because you have like chlorosis, that is the cells get affected and then they just die off and they become yellow. So you don't want also that. You want to keep your pothos in a bright light that is shaded. So yeah, anywhere where you have light, even that it's a little bit far away, but as long as you have light, you can put your pothos and it will do good. It just the rate of growing will just change. Now, propagation. What you need to know is that you need to cut in the right place to get a new plant, and that will do together so that you can see how this is done. Never cut a single leaf without a node. That means, like, for example, don't cut here and then just try to propagate one leaf. That's not how it works. What you need to find is these nodes that, let me see here, are even easier visible. So you want to find nodes like this, like bulky things, that is basically a dormant root. So you want to cut in between here and the next one, and you want the node to have at least a leaf, because that's how will photosynthesize and give it more energy to grow and produce a new plant. You can see all the nodes growing there. So all those nodes, it's an opportunity to cut. So you can cut in between here, and cut in between here, and every time just leaving at least one leaf. I will just take the whole piece and then I'll show you how we are going to further divide it. There is a node, so you want to cut at least 1 centimeter from the node, like in here. That's snapped, and then you have your bit of plant. So you can see it has a bunch of nodes. You can do two things. You can just take this spine like it is now, and then just put it in water and it will create roots from here, or you can further cut it and have basically create one plant of each of the leaves. So that means that, considering that, you can cut, so to identify your nodes, that is here, 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 and here, and you can cut every time in the middle, like here, 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 leaving at least one leaf per node and leaving the node intact. So if I would like to create two plants from here, I would cut it in here, and then you have a node with one leaf in here. Same here. If I would like to get another plant from this bit instead of a long vine, I would do the same. So I would look in between the leaves, and then I would snap it in between, like here. And then you have what it will be, two plants, right? And so on. Here you can do it as well. You say, okay, I will cut it in between the nodes and I still have a leaf in there. So I will just cut it and then you have where it will be 3 plants. And then this one I will just leave it like this because it has a leaf developing and another leaf to aid it. Guys, I'm in my kitchen and you can do 2 things. One is you can just take your cuttings and plug them into soil for a new plant, and then you have to keep the soil evenly moist at least until the plant develops roots, and then you go again to the normal watering. That would mean leave it dry before waterings. But here I really like to propagate them in water, and I think that is very nice to see and get happy about how roots are developing over the days. So for that I am just choosing a container that in this case is a glass, transparent glass, and I will just put some water in it and put the plants in there. Now when you have your glass, you want to put the plants in there, and something that you want to take care of is that the nodes, and that means like again these root tips, are covered in the water so that they can actually get the signaling to develop the roots. So as you can maybe not see there, all the nodes are covered with water. So you just need to leave it like this for probably in a week, depending on the weather. If it's warm, it's better. You will start see in a week already like some root growing tips. They become whitish, and you have to take care that the nodes are always covered in water. So refill the glass if needed, and change the water maybe every 2 weeks just to have like fresh water that they can grow in. But besides that, you have to do nothing, just sit and wait. Now I have 4 plants here, but really from the plants that I have in my living room that I showed you, the ones that are hanging from the ceiling, those ones started from just 3 leaves. So it was like, now I have 4. So it will even become a bushier plant over time. And it just looks great. It's just, I think that is one of the nicest decorations in my house. Well, I hope you like this video, guys. Let me know in the comments below. And also I would like to know, how do you have your pothos around your house? If you have some, I want to know how did it work for you if you're a beginner or are trying to get your first pothos. And remember, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you like the channel, subscribe. I post once a week. And well, I think that's all. See you next time. Bye.